In 1951, a psychologist named Solomon Asch brought 8 people into a room at Swarthmore College. He showed them a line on a card, then 3 comparison lines. One was clearly the same length. The other 2 were obviously wrong. A child could get it right. He asked each person to say their answer out loud, one by one, around the table. 7 of the 8 were actors. They all picked the wrong line, deliberately, confidently, without hesitation. The real subject was always seated near the end. They heard 7 people say an answer that was clearly, visibly wrong. 75% conformed at least once. They said the wrong answer, out loud, looking at the right one. Not because they couldn't see, because the room had already decided. Asch interviewed them afterward. Some said they genuinely started doubting their own eyes. Others knew the answer was wrong but didn't want to be the one who disagreed. Both reasons end in the same place. The room wins. You are thinking, I wouldn't conform. I would say the right answer. I would be the 25% who held. Asch heard that from almost every subject before the experiment started. Here is why you conform. It is not stupidity. It is not weakness. It is older than both. For 300,000 years, humans lived in groups of 25 to 30 people. You knew every one of them. They knew you. Your survival depended entirely on staying in that group. Disagree with the group? Fine. Disagree too often? You eat alone, hunt alone, sleep without a fire. Exile was a death sentence for most of human history. Not a metaphor, actual death, from exposure, starvation, or predation, usually within weeks. Your brain learned a simple equation. Being wrong together is safer than being right alone. That equation is still running, right now, in your head, every time you open your phone. Asch's room had 7 actors. Your room has millions. When a take goes viral, you are not reading one person's opinion. You are watching 7 actors pick the wrong line. The likes are their confidence. The retweets are their nodding heads. The ratio of agreement to disagreement has already been set before you arrive. You see 40,000 likes and 6 replies saying, "This is wrong." The 6 might be right. Your brain doesn't care. The room has spoken. Asch's subjects could at least feel the pressure. They felt uncomfortable. They hesitated. They knew something was off even when they couldn't resist it. You don't get that warning. The algorithm already sorted the room before you walked in. It showed you the opinion most likely to keep you engaged. Not most likely to be true, most likely to keep you scrolling. You experience this as everyone thinks this. You are actually experiencing a room that was built around you. In 2021, internal documents from Facebook were leaked by Frances Haugen, a former product manager. The documents showed that the company's own researchers had found that the algorithm systematically amplified content that triggered outrage and conformity. They knew. The finding was simple. Content that made people feel like everyone agreed, or that made people angry at those who didn't, kept people on the platform longer. Longer means more ads. More ads means more money. Asch put 7 actors in a room to study human behavior. Social media put millions of actors in your pocket to monetize it. Now look at how a trend is actually made. A product goes viral. A Stanley Cup. A skincare routine. A collectible you'd never heard of 3 weeks ago. You see it once, then again, then a third time from someone you trust. Then it's everywhere. Everyone has one. Everyone wants one. You think that happened naturally. Sometimes it did. Often it didn't. Renee DiResta, a researcher at the Stanford Internet Observatory, has spent years studying how consensus is manufactured online. Her work documents how bot networks, paid influencers, and coordinated campaigns create the illusion of organic popularity. The technique is not complicated. You seed a trend in enough places at once that real people start encountering it independently. Each person thinks they discovered it on their own. They share it. Now they are the actors in someone else's Asch experiment. The original push was paid. The spread is real. The conformity is genuine. That is the business model. Not just for products, for politics, for outrage, for heroes and villains. A politician says something. Within hours, the room forms. Thousands of accounts respond with the same framing, the same language, the same emotional temperature. Some of those accounts are real. Some are not. It doesn't matter. By the time you see it, the consensus exists. You don't form an opinion, you absorb one. The difference between Asch's experiment and yours is that Asch told his subjects afterward. He showed them what happened. He let them see the actors. Nobody is telling you. The actors don't wear signs. The room doesn't announce itself. The algorithm doesn't say, "We arranged this for you." It just feels like the world. Here is what Asch found that nobody talks about. The effect almost disappeared when one condition changed. If just one actor broke from the group and gave the right answer, the subject's conformity rate dropped by 75%. One voice, not a majority, not half the room, one person saying what they actually saw. That was enough to break the spell. In 1969, a psychologist named Serge Moscovici ran Asch's experiment in reverse. He put a consistent minority, 2 people, in a room with 4 others, showed them slides that were clearly blue. The 2 consistently called them green. 32% of the majority agreed at least once. They started seeing blue as green. Not because they were pressured, because the minority never wavered. Asch showed that a majority can make you deny your own eyes. Moscovici showed that a minority can change them. In 2018, Damon Centola at the University of Pennsylvania found the number. When a committed minority reaches 25% of a group, the entire group flips. The old norm collapses. The new one takes over. In one trial, a single additional person was the difference between total failure and total success. One voice breaks the room. A few more flip it entirely. That is also true. That has always been true. Every social movement in history started with someone saying the line was the wrong length and not sitting down. Online, the algorithm buries the one dissenter, sorts them to the bottom, reduces their reach. Not because someone decided to silence them, because disagreement reduces engagement, and reduced engagement reduces revenue. The one voice that Asch proved could break conformity is the one voice the system is built to quiet. Not by conspiracy, by math. But math doesn't know what Moscovici knew. A consistent minority doesn't need to be loud. It needs to not stop. It needs to keep saying the slide is blue when the room says green. Not once, not as a performance, every time. Quietly, without flinching. The room doesn't change because the dissenter is right. The room changes because the dissenter is still there. You are in Asch's experiment right now. The lines are on the card. The room has answered. You can feel it. That faint discomfort when your opinion doesn't match the feed. That hesitation before you say what you actually think. That moment where you almost trust your own eyes and then check the likes instead. That feeling is 300,000 years old. It kept your ancestors alive. It is also how someone sells you an opinion you never formed. But the other finding is just as old and just as true. One voice is enough. It was enough in Asch's lab. It was enough on a bus in Montgomery. It is enough in a comment section at 2 a.m. You don't need to convince the room. You just need to not leave it.